Hello everyone. My name is Ceki Erginbas. I am a senior researcher from Transport Research Laboratory, and I will be talking about our little ongoing project BIM CAV, which is about the use of BIM in the context of autonomous and connected vehicles. Now, before going for that, let me give a bit of a background about Smart Mobility Living Lab, which is the main project from which this project stemmed from. Smart Mobility Living Lab is going to be, hopefully, be a real-world environment where we can test connected and autonomous vehicle technologies. Now, I don't mean just, you don't imagine just cars, autonomous cars. We are talking about mobility services, smart mobility services, vehicle-to-infrastructure communication technologies, and all the rest of it. And this is a really exciting project for us. This will be located in Greenwich and Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park. But while we were working on this project, our director, Paul Zanelli, came up with this idea, and he said, you know, autonomous vehicles, very exciting, BIM, everyone talking about these. Let's bring them together and try to see how we can benefit from BIM in the world of connected and autonomous vehicle technologies. Hence come this Innovate UK project, where we are trying to basically do a pilot implementation, a proof of concept of can we do a BIM model of an urban environment or a route along our test bed, and how can we benefit from this when we are running the test bed? How can our customers benefit from this when they are preparing for testing in our test bed, and all the rest of it. And to do that, we've decided to model a 13 kilometer section of Greenwich, create a BIM model of 13 kilometer section of Greenwich. But mostly BIM models, people focus on the building aspects of it. We are focusing mainly on the road as an asset, roadside, and all the roadside furniture located on the road. Now, we decided to work with 3D Repo because what we want is the final model to be hosted on the web, and we want all our customers, and when we are planning to do different tests, we want to be able to collaborate. We want to be able to see the site in detail and get the information very quickly. So these are some slides showing how we're gonna get there. First, we are also working with here maps. We're getting our base map layers to be the foundation of our model. We're getting some basic building models. 3D Repo is helping us putting them together. But in this context, they are only for reference purposes. We are more interested in the road itself. Our friends in Murphy Surveys, they have carried out the survey of the area, and they are creating the model in Revit for us with collaboration with us. And we wanted to show how much detail in data can you add to this. So we decided our own pavement survey team. We have these different types of pavement labs, mobile data labs. We decided to create some more data with that and enrich the model. And finally, we decided to try and see how much of the live data from here maps we can integrate, and to see how we can benefit from these things. Now, a little bit of more detail about individual tasks. So obviously, the first task is to see which data fields we can bring in from here maps as a basis, and then to bring these building models as a visual backdrop, as a reference points. Then this is already completed. By the way, this project is ongoing. It's not finished completely yet, so I can't really show you the final result, but some of it is completed. So the LiDAR surveys have been completed, and we decided to do a layered approach. In some areas, we did plus minus 5 millimeter accuracy. With some areas, the longer 13 kilometer section, we did a bit more, a bit less accurate, but good enough for the proof of concept stage. Then a number of our mobile test vehicles went out and collected data about the pavement pavements such as rutting, radius of the road, the individual retroreflectivity of individual lines on the road, the pavement thickness, because we believe this type of data will be useful for the autonomous vehicle testing activities. And then what we want to do is we want to basically divide the pavement into slabs and attach this data to the point, if possible, we're playing with it, to the individual lines, and you can see the retroreflectivity of individual lines along the roads, and then you can prepare for a test. The model is being generated in Revit by Murphy. Here are some examples of what it looks like for the completed bits. But one thing very important for us is the unique-class classification, because there are so many different types of assets along the road. What we want to be able to do is, once everything is complete, we want to be able to run some queries and say, okay, show me all the longitudinal assets which are over 5 meters, where I can put my roadside communication kit for vehicle to infrastructure communications. And this is the route we are modeling. So these are the areas which are being modeled in larger detail. Apologies to Murphy, because these are still work in progress, so there may be some mistakes if that is the case. Apologies in advance, but they will be looking like these. And some data fields are coming from 3D repo. Now, what are we going to do with a model like this? That is half the job. Now, I can't tell you everything that you can do with this, because the project is to find all these different things and create some ideas how people can benefit from something like this, bringing all this data together. So using the standard BIM language, we are gathering data in this model, we are generating new data, we can analyze data, we can communicate through it, we can produce new things, and we can operate our test lab with this. So some examples gather. Obviously, what we are doing here is we are creating a digital twin of the real world. We're not interested in drawings in some council offices drawer. We are interested what is actually out there, and obviously we are gathering all these precise geometric data about things as is in the real world. So what we want to be able to do is, when you see a box, which you will see a lot of on Greenwich, I found out, you will be able to say, what is it, where is it, what is the make model, who owns it, can I tamper with it, what is the size, can I put more things in it, because there are lots of types of boxes, and what are the specs. And so we are gathering all this data in the common data environment. The other thing we can do is, my previous example, I want to be able to very quickly do, okay, show me where the lighting columns are and give me all the GPS coordinates very quickly. These are the things we can do. And we are generating new data as we are building smart mobility living lab, as we deciding where to put all this different type of kit we will be installing to make these roads into a living lab. We will be updating our model. And the other thing we are imagining is, what if we bring non-existing things, standards, into the model and check against the standards. So this is a screenshot from TfL's urban design guide, where they divide the pavement into certain areas, and there are minimum requirements for certain zones. So what if we bring these things into the BIM model, and then I want to put this mobile mast for my roadside communication kit, do clash detection with the pavement zone, and then see what are the places I can work with. The other example is, we want to be able to know where the lines are worn, for example, and maybe we will avoid this for autonomous vehicle testing, or maybe we will specifically target those places for a certain type of test to see how autonomous vehicles behave in different reflectivity levels. And obviously we can do all sorts of different types of analysis when you combine so much data together. And we are working with our friends in immense simulations, where we are simulating different options of roadside unit placement and its effect in traffic, and which one is the best. And the other benefit is communicate. Obviously, we will be able to communicate through our partners, with the public, with the people who are going to test in our live lab through all these models. And we will be able to produce new things using this information, such as, let's say I want to install a new box, new type of roadside unit on that pole. Is it going to fit? Or if I really must use that, what should be the shape? What should be the size? How is it going to be installed? Or the other thing is it, how far is it from the necessary underground utilities? And finally, once this model is finished, we envisage it to be our asset register, and we want to basically use this throughout the life cycle of the project, which BIM is all about, isn't it? The life cycle of a project. So that is it for now. Thank you for listening.
If we've got any questions for Jeff, Jeff's got to shoot off. So
yeah. Let me have a run through. So I believe this one will be you. So in terms of simulations that you're doing, are you carrying out virtual simulations that are all kind of based on real world kind of digital twin side of things? Is there any further work you're doing around kind of planning different scenarios, I guess is probably the question.
So what we're doing here, we are running simulations to show what can be done, so proof of concept simulations.
Yeah. Yeah, same way. And how, I guess from my question, so quite famously earlier in the year, the kind of Elon, Iron Man, Musk has kind of said that by the end of 2018, we'll have the first driverless, entirely autonomous car ready by the end of this year. Now, judging by the work that's going on here, it's going to be fairly useless. Is that fair to say? How far away from those kind of manufacturers developing those kind of ideas are they from the real world of driving in around Greenwich? Is there sort of link? Does this work need to go much, much further before those kind of technologies are really there?
This is not really easy question for me to ask because I'm not working in the Smart Model Living Lab project. But all I can say is we are already working with OEMs on the Smart Mobility Living Lab, so it's not really disconnected from the...
Yeah, so it's close to there.
Yeah.
Okay, and how much further does the project go from Greenwich? Are you looking at you've obviously got a kind of an area there that you're scoping out?
So at the moment we are building a model in Greenwich because that is most likely place for just one main arterial there, which is most likely to host some of the parts of the Smart Mobility Living Lab. But there will also be obviously Queen Elizabeth Park, and that's the place to start with. They both have different characteristics, both different traffic characteristics, both different road environments and different speeds and different mixture of road users. So we're going to start with that and see where it goes from there.
Amazing. Okay. Any other questions? Any more traditional questions rather than Slido? Hands up type? No? Oh, one at the back, two at the back now. Right far at the back, just by the cameras.
I just wondered, it looks like fantastic work. I'm just curious to know how quickly you think it could be deployed, for example, for assessing site logistics on a large highway site or a building site, even how quickly that technology could be deployed to...
For assessing? In
site logistics. So building sites, temporary works, things that are put up and taken down, if it could be deployed in that scenario, gain a lot of efficiency for the site itself rather than the permanent highways. Just wondering how quickly you think it could be deployed in those scenarios.
So if you took the thinking from this to a new project, a new area, how much background work would you need to do to enable it? So how you've obviously got quite a process here. Do you have to do that every time, or?
This is probably a better question to be answered by Murphy Surveys, who are doing the model for us. But in my opinion, it's all about how many people are working on the project, isn't it? You have the data, you scan the road and turn it into a BIM model. The more people you have, the less it will take.
It's a fair question. Fair answer. And there was another question.
I was just thinking about if you have road diversions or burst water mains, how quick would that get fed in to that kind of model?
Sorry, I couldn't hear that.
If you had road diversions...
Yes, diversions.
I mean, obviously you've scanned the roads to a certain degree as a direct path. Have you actually taken it further than that, just in case there were diversions that come up?
So one of the data involved in here maps is the planned roadworks data. So we were planning to bring that into 3D repo platform to see it. But as I said, at the moment, what we're building is not all of the Smart Mobility Living Lab. We're just building a part of it. If we have obviously all of the model, once there is a diversion for the testing, we could use the BIM model for the rest of it. But if you're asking about day-to-day activities of the Smart Mobility Living Lab, that is not really easy to answer yet, because the project kickoff was literally last month. So at the moment it is not certain.
Are we there yet?
Yes, a bit advanced for my...
Technology is going to be fast.
Exactly.
I told you.
But we did think about that, and so I would like to be able to give more answers to these things, but we are finding out. This is the reason why these are Innovate UK projects is, we don't know most of these things anyway. We are just learning on the process, and that's how it works.
Well, I think on that note, what the interesting thing for me is all the different work that is going on in the industry. So you've got a huge in-depth focus project you're doing there.
Yeah.
There's another one that's funded that Leeds University are working on at the moment around self-repairing cities, and they've got drones that fly over and they scan and they can tell the difference between a pothole, a puddle or whatever else. And the technology, in theory, they get one comes down, digs out the rubble, another one comes and 3D prints. So if you kind of, in a future, saw it where you took the work that you're doing with that kind of research around healing cities, you could have one, I guess, ecosystem or one sort of technology solving the problems for you to feed into and work around.
Yeah, I guess to tie into that, one of the future vision bits of this project is here maps have some LiDAR data, live LiDAR data feed coming from some vehicles on London. So one of the ideas for the future, I guess, is to how can we detect certain road features from those, as you said, and then immediately act on it rather than someone reporting it.
So you sort of more proactively than just sort of waiting for the...
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Any other questions? We'll keep on time.
Data that you're producing and gathering, and then the data that you infer from the modelling, what are your plans for that? Will it become available for other collaborators and other engineers and other councils to use on an open source or proprietary or rental?
That is a very good question, and which I don't think I will be able to answer because I am a techie guy. I'm just trying to do what is the ideal world solution, bring as much as possible, and negotiating with like the council, TFL, or however much they can get, or sometimes actually going out, taking photographs of things and identifying them myself because I'm originally roadside safety design engineer. So I would like all of this thing to be, useful to as many people as possible. But it is too early for me to comment to say how are we gonna, have access to this data.
I apologise for the meanness of the question because I'm a techie guy and I'm always looking for free stuff.
Yeah, I know. Same here. In the BIM model, I'm trying to bring as many free data as possible.
Well, hopefully, I think between 3 Repo, us at DCW, hopefully maybe at some point we can have a revisit and see where you are kind of 6 months on and see where some of the learning comes from. So,
yes, I think that's a very good idea. We would like to actually show you the actual model, but it's not finished yet, and we want to see how much we can do. It's a very short project as well. It's a 3-month project. So we are trying to do as much as possible within 3 months.
Okay.
But there is potential that if the proof of concept stage is seen beneficial, which I feel it will be, we may be actually able to do the whole smart mobility living lab once the final routes are certainly decided. But deciding the route itself is, the risk assessments and all the rest of it, it's a big thought process.
Well, we're approximately 3 months away with Digital Construction Week, so I won't put no pressure. I won't put you on the spot just yet.
That's fine.
But expect an email. Amazing. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.